internationalization on teacher education and its prospects and challenges, and also the competencies and roles required for teacher educators during the internationalizations of education. And so we are very happy and lucky to have 5 presenters from Thailand, Vietnam, Zimbabwe, and Kenya, and they are all experts on the webinar theme. So each presenter will present in 15 minutes and followed by 5 minutes for the Q&A. And we still have a separate discussion and Q&A session with the audience around 20 minutes at the end of all presentations. So if the participants would like to make questions, please feel free to ask at the end of each presentation and also during the discussion session. So now, first of all, I would like to invite Professor Maki from Hiroshima University for opening address and also his keynotes on the theme of this webinar.
Okay, thank you very much, Ngan-san. Let me share the screen, and I hope everyone sees my screen.
Yes, Sensei.
All right, great. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening once again. Thank you very much for joining us for our 7th Teacher Educator Professional Development webinar. The theme of this webinar will consider the internationalization of teacher education and the response of teacher educators. We have invited speakers from Thailand, Vietnam, Kenya, and Zimbabwe, and the participants from various Asia and African countries. Thank you very much. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to briefly introduce the purpose of today's webinar using a Japanese case study. COVID-19 has been ongoing since the end of 2019. The Prime Minister decided to close all schools nationwide in Japan, and subsequent attempt to guarantee learning opportunities for children online. Although the outbreak is still ongoing, international travel is gradually resuming, and we are now at the dawn of an era of internationalization, both conventional and unconventional. By taking this opportunity, today's webinar will focus on internationalization of teacher education and teacher educators' responses with examples from Asia and Africa. The internationalization of education has mainly been discussed in higher and post-secondary education. According to the famous Jen Knight definition, internationalization at the national sector institutional level is the process of integrating an international, intercultural, or global dimension into the purpose, functions, or delivery of higher education at the institutional and national levels. It has also subsequently been redefined by David as international process of integrating an international and intercultural or global dimension into the purpose, function, and delivery of post-secondary education in order to enhance the quality of education and research for all students and staff, and to make a meaningful contribution to the society. In other words, which I have summarized in the table, the process of integrating the global forces, especially from outside, and the consequent transformation of the institution. Those process is not a one-way process, but a kind of continuous bi-directional process. For example, the internationalization of higher education where teacher education takes place is sometimes divided into internationalization at home and cross-border internationalization. In short, the curriculum, faculty, and student at the university or teacher education institution become international. At the same time, cross-border internationalization takes place. Hiroshima University, to which I belong, has experienced both. How is teacher education in each country experience the internationalization just I introduced? That is the first subtopic of today's webinar. And second, our focus is teacher educators. Teacher educators response to the internationalization of the teacher education. Many of you may be hearing the term teacher educator for the first time, maybe. So I'd like to introduce a few things about teacher educators. Since the millennium, teacher education research started to focus on the importance of role played by teacher educators. Teacher educators can be broadly defined who all those who actively facilitate the formal or non-formal learning of student teachers and school teachers. And it is said that teacher educators who educate the future teachers are expected to play the 6 roles, for example, shown in this slide, like a teacher of teacher, a researcher, coach, curriculum developer, gatekeeper, and broker. And these books on teacher educators have been discussed, published and discussed in a Western context. And it can be better understood, for example, by looking at the map of world university rankings. We want to balance this kind of knowledge bias by disseminating research findings from Asian and African countries. That is why we continue to hold these professional development webinars for Asian and African teacher educators. Against this background, today's webinar will focus on the internationalization of teacher education and the responses of teacher educators in 5 countries: Thailand, Vietnam, Kenya, Zimbabwe, and Japan. I'm sorry that I forgot to put the flyer here. And the speakers from each country are asked to prepare the slides in response to the following 3 questions. How do teacher educators cope with internationalization of education? And second question is, what are opportunities and challenges of internationalization of teacher education? And third question is, how does internationalized teacher education look like? From the following couple of slides, I would like to introduce the Japanese case briefly. Teacher education in Japan takes place at the universities. Japanese universities started working on cross-border internationalization and then on internationalization at home. Okay, let me continue. Namely, like a 100,000 exchange student plan was formed in 1983, followed by the 300,000 exchange students plan in 2008. And since 2014, the Super Global University, which is very Japanese English, we have been working on such kind of project in Japan. Also, in 2004, national universities were incorporated, and a regime of selection and concentration was put in place. As a result, national university faculty members were being pressed to obtain competitive external funding. So the simultaneous internationalization at home and cross borders is a kind of tragic for teacher educators. They were expected to teach in English and mass produce English language articles with an impact factor journal. In short, it requires advanced English language operational skills. And with incorporation, university is now seen as a part of the educational service provider. In other words, students are customers. So as a part of super global university, we have more opportunities to take students abroad to increase the number of study abroad. It has led a new set of required skills, such as student care and also risk management. Finally, as I mentioned earlier, managing the stress arising from obtaining external funding and getting lucky enough to bring it is also increasingly required. In school education, gradually becomes more internationalized. Teachers must naturally be good model for children. Similarly, teacher educators must be a good role model for university students who want to become school teachers. How to be a role model as an excellent international teacher educator is a bit kind of headache. We have gained, this is the response to the second question, we have gained the opportunity and challenge from internationalization. Still, I feel that there are so many opportunities that we have gained from internationalization. For example, through the student exchange, I become a good friend with Dr. Domrak, who is today's speaker from Thailand today. And the suggestion of Dr. Domrak, we have started working on a joint research project. Before the COVID-19, she came to Hiroshima to give a seminar on self-study for teacher educators. And we also gave a presentation at the international conference in Tokyo. The challenge is involving the student in these activities and is expanding them into a kind of international joint research, including the students. And finally, what do international and also what do international teacher educators look like? The picture above right shows the research presentation seminar held at the National University of Laos with Dr. Domrak. Dr. Domrak is maybe my research model, role model, sorry, not research model, but a role model of an international teacher educator. Furthermore, the picture below left shows my supervised students. Many of them are international teacher educators, including those from Cambodia, Myanmar, Malawi, and the two from Kanto University in Vietnam, who will talk today. They gather in Hiroshima across borders to learn and enhance each other. So that's all for the case of Japan. And today's webinar will proceed as shown in a slide. I should be finished my talk in 10 minutes, though time is passing. let me end my introduction talk here, and thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maki Sensei. And the audience, do you have any questions and or concerns you want to address to Maki Sensei? Then feel free to raise it up. And oh, Sensei, we have comments in the chat box from Tendayi.
Oh yes, there are many opportunities, but the role of teacher educators gatekeeper has had a limiting role. So this maybe it's good question. Thank you very much. We can address this question at the end of the overall discussion, I think.
Yes.
Yes. I think it's very interesting.
So thank you very much. So next, we are very happy and pleased to invite Professor Udumlak from Kasetsat University, Thailand, for her presentation.
All right, thank you so much. Let me share my screen. Okay. Sorry. All right. Again, good afternoon from Thailand, everyone. It's 3:20 p.m. here in Thailand, and I would like to thank Maki Sensei again for inviting me to join this webinar, also for giving me the opportunity to talk about experience in Thailand. I mean, in terms of internationalized teacher educators. Thank you so much. And the outline of my talk would be like the others that you may see here. And yeah, and I'm gonna follow the questions from Maki Sensei. Well, let me talk about the case of Thailand. I have to say that when we talk about internationalization, a lot of people, I mean, around the world will think about the mobility of the international students. And wow, I have to say that it is becoming increasingly critical in the global trend of internationalization. But later, I'm going to talk about some point of view that I think that we may have to consider about something else as well, much more than just only mobility of international students. Well, in order to cope with the worldwide demand for a new generation of workers who can function well in international environment and cross-cultural communities, I think cross-border education has been and will continue to be a significant trend that we cannot, ignore it. Let's see. Okay, and this picture, Thailand, as a member of the ASEAN, we have 10 countries together that you may see, and I can say that AEC or ASEAN Economic Community is one of the world's largest communities with a population of more than 630 million people across the member countries. Well, and within the AEC framework or agreement, there is a more unrestricted flow of goods, services, including education and foreign direct investment. So the AEC supports the development of the internationalization of higher education as a priority. Thailand, a middle-income country within the ASEAN community, is located in the heart of Southeast Asia. Well, as an affordable, I think that Maki knows well, and anyone who come to Thailand, who have been to Thailand before, Thailand is an affordable study destination. It is advantageous for Thailand to entice international students from ASEAN countries. both the reasonable tuition fees and cost of living in Thailand compared to the long-standing international student destinations such as the US, the UK, or Australia. So I can say that there are a lot of international students come to us, but most are from ASEAN country. And as Thailand has become an aging society, like many people around the world, with a large proportion of the population age 60 years or older, there is a smaller pool of young Thais each year to pursue higher education. So universities in Thailand are increasingly being forced to pursue students from other countries to compensate for the lack of eligible Thai students. Moreover, Thai higher education is changing. Thailand 4.0, a socio-economic and educational development policy of the Thai government wants universities to reinvent themselves into the world's top 100, and so draw closer to international ideas of quality assurance, research, impact, and teaching. Actually, the situation now is that Thai universities have been dropping down the list of the world's best higher education institutes in recent years. And this downward trend has become a cause for concern as well. And well, I just want to show that this is a result of the Time Higher Education Impact Ranking 2022 of my university, Kasetsart University. We are proud of that, and we are happy with that because we are quite in a good ranking for, I mean, in terms of SDG ranking. This is a THE ranking. I just want to show you, well, the number of international students in Thailand. According to the data from 2009 to 2019, the number of international students in Thailand has increased continuously in the last decade. In 2019, Thailand hosted like 25,110 international students from 135 countries, representing an average increase of around 2,000 each year since 2009. And the top 10 countries of origin of international students enrolled in Thailand were mainly in Asia. On average, I mean, the highest number of the international students come from China. We can say that it's like 40% of our international students will be from China. In fact, China has become the primary source of international students in Thailand since 2006. And right now, I have to say that more private education entities are competing with government universities in order to attract international students. Based on the research, you know, the most ambitious programs in private universities have created innovative courses, short course training, and flexible images to match students' preferences, including roadshow events, generous scholarships, and exchange programs. For these reasons, the highest number of international students in Thailand right now is found in private universities. Wow, that was a context of general internationalization in Thailand. Now I'm going to focus on teacher education, and I have to say that what I am going to share is is from my experience as a teacher educator at Faculty of Education, Kasetsart University, Thailand. The first question is, how do teacher educators cope with internationalization of education? Everyone knows that it is said that internationalization is the future of education. And of course, it is the future of teacher education as well. But how? Well, the answer is quite hard. And I think that we have to change our traditional mindset, living in a comfort zone, and we have to dare to walk openly to the challenges and try our best to achieve. And it's quite hard, though. Which competencies and roles are required as teacher educators under internationalization of education? Now, I can think of maybe is something a bit different from what Maki Sensei has just presented. I think of 5 new roles. Well, besides being an educator, you have to be a future leader, researcher, innovator, social problem solver, and also connector. Extended roles of teacher educators, besides being an educator, you have to be a future leader. The aim is to be an agent of change, and the competencies required are skilled to design innovative curricula and pedagogical methods in order to attract international students. And the second one, you have to be a researcher or knowledge creator. And the aim is to produce the impactful research, especially for the interdisciplinary research. Some scholars state that internationalization of education is a holistic management of institutions to attract international students by heightening the quality and capacity of learning, teaching, and also research. And of course, competencies needed are research skills and creative thinking skills. The third one is innovator. You have to be an innovator. Well, before the meaning of innovation, I mean, now it has shifted away from the dominance of economics or technology. When we talk about innovation now, the trendy purposes of innovation in education can be for social mobility or social justice and equity. And competencies needed are a lot of creative thinking skills. And the fourth one, this one is very important. Maki Sensei mentioned something about home internationalization, and I think I have the same idea when I think about social problem solvers. Being an internationalized teacher educator, you have to be a good global citizen too. And even though, right, maybe we don't have to go out of our country, but we should have global mind, or I mean, you have to concern about global issues. Here, when I talk about social problem solvers, our aim is to address like SDGs, sustainable society and well-being. We know that sustainable development goals, they are the issues of the global educators and everyone in the world. We talk about it and we concern about it. So we as a teacher educator, we have to concern about it as well. So like for example, in my case, my recent project is to help ethnic minority students in the north part of Thailand. I focus a lot about the SDG 4, quality of education. So I mean, this is a point. Maybe someone may think about the other dimensions of SDG, because there are 17 SDG that is determined by the UN. The competencies needed, you have to have a lot of problem-solving skills. And while the last thing that I'm going to talk about is, besides being an educator, you have to be a connector. The aim is sustainability. I mean, SDG 17 that talk about network and collaboration. Internationalized teacher educator should promote this kind of thing. And as a teacher educator, we should have a network that we can use to help our students connect to global experiences. And the competencies needed are cross-cultural skills. And right now, maybe we cannot ignore technological skills. And when we talk about, I would like to talk about opportunities and challenges of internationalization of education. Well, about the opportunities, one of the opportunities of internationalization of education is to help students and educators or other faculty members to reach out to a global community. For example, the exchange programs, collaborative conference, or other collaborative activities. It is a way, when we have international students at our institute, that we can cultivate cross-cultural skills and awareness. In my case, both for our international students and also for our Thai students as well. During the COVID-19 pandemic, I can notice that internationalization could develop our digital competencies as well. Moreover, it allows students to explore diverse academic interests. They can earn credits from another university, no additional tuition fee needed, besides regular tuition fee to home university only. That's the reason why a lot of institutions develop joint degree program or double degree program, or even online degree programs or online certificate programs. Sorry, and these pictures are examples of our collaborative on-site activities. Wow, I also, I just came from Japan. Last month, I visited Japan. It was this one. I went to Tokyo Gakuen University in Gunma in Japan. But before that, I went to Hiroshima University, as Maki Sensei mentioned about the self-study of teacher educators. Yeah, and I went there and joined the seminar. Yeah, at that time, the sakura, is blooming. That was blooming then. It was very beautiful over there, and that was a long time ago. And these pictures are from last year that we couldn't. It's quite hard to collaborate in person, so we did it online for the whole, I can say, 2 years. And wow, now let's talk about the challenges. The challenges that I concern most, is about maintaining and standardizing the quality of academic programs. The big challenge for me and my institution, I mean, Faculty of Education at Kasetsart University is programs taught in English. You know, even though I say that English is not everything, but you know, when we talk about internationalization, we cannot ignore, I mean, the courses or programs that we have to teach in English so that we can attract the other one from other countries to join us. International recognition and proficiency in English or in other foreign languages as a part of communication in the university is very essential. Communication capacity among professors, staff, and local students especially in English, demonstrates international recognition and supports international students living on campus. Wow, this is still very hard for us to encourage faculty members to teach in English or to develop more programs taught in English. It's still, yes, we do have some programs and some courses taught in English, but I think that we should have more. So this is a big challenge for me as a Vice Dean for International Affairs here. Moreover, I think another challenge is supporting infrastructure and services, because internationalization in education could involve with the holistic management of institutions and processes of enhancing the international environments of the institutions. And another big challenge is budget preparation. This is very, very important. I mean, the budget for scholarship to attract international students and scholarship to attract our own students, not to attract, to allow our students in Thailand to have the experiences outside the country. And I also mean the budget for research funding, budget for international activities, public relation, roadshow, supporting staff, and other infrastructures. Like, well, I have limited time, but I just want to share something. Like compared to Hiroshima University, I can see you have a lot of staff who can speak English and help professors to run the internationalization business or international affairs. But at my Faculty of Education, I can say that we have limited staff who can help us like that. And another thing is, it can be our challenge, communication with international partners. This can be our challenge, especially when we would like to collaborate with some universities with high ranking, and they have to reconsider about our approach because we are not that interesting for them. And well, next question. How does internationalized teacher education look like? My answer is that internationalized teacher education is an education which integrates an international, intercultural, or global dimension into the purpose, functions, or delivery of education in order to enhance the quality of education and research for all students and staff. It focuses on future-ready graduates, research-based learning, lifelong learning, global exposure, and also digital-based education. It must help students at all levels to adapt themselves successfully in the VUCA world and lead their lives meaningfully with culture grace. That's the definition that I would like to define the word internationalized teacher education. And I would like to end my presentation with this slide before we discuss more about maybe the Q&A session. I would like to talk about the key success factors of internationalization in higher education, or even it can be applied to the teacher education as well. This is a key success for being a world-class university, and I think that it can be applied for our what we are talking about right now. I mean, it can be applied for internationalized teacher education. The concentration of talent, abundant resources, and favorable governance are the keys to success. Concentration of talent, we mean students, teaching staff, researchers, I mean everyone in our institution. Abundant resources, well, I focus on like budget or something that can grants that can make us more internationalized. And favorable governance, yeah, it means a leadership team or strategic vision, culture of excellence, something like that. All right, thank you so much. I think that it can be the Q&A session right now. Can I stop sharing right now? Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Udumlat, for your wonderful presentations. Now we'd like to seek the questions from the audience. If you have any, please feel free to ask. Because Professor Udumlat will leave us early, within 30
maybe
minutes.
at 4:30.
Yes.
I will be here with you until 4:30.
Yes, thank you. So please, if you have questions, so please take this chance to ask this expert from Thailand.
Is Thailand that interesting for you? Or you are not interested in us?
It's very interesting. Yes.
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Sokchia from Cambodia.
Yeah.
Thank you for your, like Nansen said, wonderful presentation. I have a question regarding the nationalism, but the question specify on cultural identity of Thailand. So have you concerned about the loss of cultural identity in terms of Thailand internationalization?
Yeah. You are right. You are right. I may miss that point. Even you are right. I agree with you. I totally agree. Even though we talk about internationalization, well, we should focus on our identity as well. I do agree with you. Thank you to fulfill that point. And because when I talk to my students, or when I teach my students, I'm gonna focus on about like cross-cultural competencies or international communicative competence, that we have to understand the others, and yeah, we should maintain our identity as well. Yeah, but at the same time, we have to be open-minded and understand the others as well. Is that it? Is that the answer that you need? Did I answer your question? Hello?
You are muted. You are mute.
You muted. Sorry.
Sokchia-san, mute. You are mute.
You still mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. So one last question is about Thailand has any policy regarding internationalization process regarding this loss of the cultural identity? Is there?
Well, if you talk about cultural identity, well, I have to study more about the policy about that, but I think that they focus more. Let's see. I think that let's see. Sorry, because I think they talk about, like, they mention something about cultural grace. So we can we have to interpret this one from, I mean, the word cultural grace is from I mean, the policy of the country. But when we talk about cultural grace, we can interpret that it can be our own identity, I think, our own culture. And also it means that we have to respect the others as well. They mentioned about this word, I could remember.
Yeah, Derry. Thank you.
I think, I think
yes, thank you very much.
I think there are two more participants.
Yes, Miss Grace and Mr. Semusu. Yes.
Yeah, a good day, everyone. I just want to ask, Udom, is there any policy, whether subtle or official, not to admit teacher educators, would-be teacher educators from Nigeria into your university? Because I couldn't see any Nigerian, in your university.
Actually, we don't have any policy to deny any student from any country. I think you are welcome, and I work with my faculty of education. We have the project to help the mini English program, to help a lot of schools to develop mini English program school, and we do have some teachers from Nigeria to teach with us. Yeah, right. So I don't think that we have any policy to deny or to refuse anyone from any country. Yeah. We do have teachers from working with us from Nigeria. Yeah. Yeah, great. Right.
Yes, I will get in touch with you personally.
Okay. All right. Please, you can ask from my contact from Maki, or maybe I can write down my email address.
Yes,
in the chat box, so that anyone of you can can contact with me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Professor Udumlak and Miss Grace, and others participants. I think that they still have many questions to Professor Udumlak, but we are sorry that we are a little behind the time. So is it possible that you just drop the questions in the chat box, and then we can pass your questions to Professor Udumlak after our webinar? Is it fine?
Or you can, yes, or you can email me.
Thank you very much.
I send everyone my email address.
Thank you very much. Since the Thailand is very interesting for everyone, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I feel proud of my country.
Thank you very much. I just give a big applause to our professor. Thank you very much. Yes, so now let's move on to the next presentation. It's a joint presentation from Vietnam. Let's welcome Miss Châu Thị Tìm and Miss Ngọc Liên from Cần Thơ University. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Sensen, everyone. First of all, I'm so sorry for my being late to join the webinar because we missed the time between Japan and Vietnam. So I'm so sorry. And now we will start our presentation. First, I'd like to introduce you about the presenter. My name is Liên, and this is a team. Châu Thị Tìm. We will work together and have a presentation. Team Sang, you can start.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So We are lucky here to present you about the Vietnamese case of international education, and for the common issue about the internationalization, many university in Vietnam and in the case of Cần Thơ University also. So we choose to share you some overview information of Vietnamese internationalization of education and the case of Cần Thơ universities. So first, welcome to all of you to Cần Thơ University. This is our workplace and in Vietnam. So for the corporation of Cần Thơ University, it has the function of the education and research and training, community services, or international cooperation. That is the same function with other university in Vietnam and other university in other countries also. For the presentation outline, we would like to introduce some overview information of education, internationalization of education in Vietnam. And then Ms. Liên will start with the detail in the Cần Thơ University case for the internationalization and other information about the shape of internationalization and also opportunity and challenge or future direction of CTU to cope with the internationalization of education in the future. So first of all, we also ask about what's the internationalization mean to everybody. For the Vietnam case, we do not have any specific definition that fit to on the purpose of internationalization. But for the document that we look for, that's one suitable definition of Vietnam for internationalization, an enhancement of international and regional cooperation and integration in the field of higher education. It means that in the document they mentioned that the internationalization is an activity that integrated in the international cooperation activity like other. And for the case of Cần Thơ University, we also ask for the interviewees so to get more information and their view about the internationalization of education. For their idea, this is an inevitable trend to the education in the future, and is also a strategy for enhancement of education qualities and international recognition in the future. And the more important for the internalized teacher educator, that is an opportunity for the human resource development. That is the main requirement for all teachers to be good at in the education environment. So this is some definition of internationalization in Vietnam. There are some maybe common activity that occur for all universities in our country. The first one is the most popular activity, that the mobility of student and teacher that occurs in most of universities. Throughout the series of study abroad program, or we send the student to study abroad, or we receive the student from other country to our university and countries. The second one is that we cooperation in the curriculum and program development and teaching. We invite the teacher from other university in the region or in Asia or other country to cooperate in the teaching of students in our universities. And another dimension of internationalization, that is the joint and dual training program. We cooperate with other international universities to maybe we use some part of their training program, or we use full their training program to teach in our university to train for more students to cope with the internationalization. And the next one is also the establishment of international institutions in Vietnam. Some university from Australia or other country that they stand by for teaching in Vietnamese education. And the last for the dimension, that internationalization in research, that we cooperate with the other professor in other country in conducting research or publication. That is also our activity for internationalization. So you can see here is the picture that shows how the dimension of internationalization of Vietnamese higher education that I also mentioned. As for the most activity that we look for and we conducting to cope with the internationalization this time and maybe in the future. So for the emphasis on this dimension of internationalization, we can see before that we focus on the national level for internationalization of universities, but now we move to the national level, to the international level for conducting the activity. Somehow like more university focus on their academic qualities or academic program to look for the high reputation for the university through rankings or accreditation by the international organization. So next one, Ms. Ling will give you detailed information about internationalized teacher educator, the case of Cần Thơ University. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim San, for the overview, the information about the internationalization of Vietnam in the case of the Cần Thơ University. And now I would like to start with some figures of Cần Thơ University that is a figure of the activity is famous with the context of internationalization. First, the strategies I would like to talk about. I would like to start about the human resource development. As Tim San mentioned before, Cần Thơ University perceives the importance of the upgrade the quality of the teacher educator. So we apply and choose the series of the study abroad project from the government, and the result is we can see the figure, the statistic here we collect in 5 years from 2015 to 2020. This is from the document, and we got 255 PhD and 49 the master, and we also send the teacher to join the training and workshop based on the international project and conference. Especially, we also have started strategy for student exchange, like sensei from Thailand. So the statistic, Vietnam also one of the top 10 of the student exchange students. So Vietnam, Cần Thơ University also have some partner from Thailand, and we also welcome the student from Thailand, and we send our student to Thailand and we have a very good cooperation in the student exchange. However, based on the recently we have the shift in the strategy. In the past, you can see that we optimize the study abroad project from the government. However, recently we have a proactive in this activity strategy. The special, you can see the result of the ODA loan project, and we active to do the rooster and to send to Japan to upgrade the quality of the we call it the teacher educator, like the slide sensei mentioned. We see that the teacher educator not only teacher but only include the officer and the people to help to the education and research of the university. And also, Cần Thơ University, we have a strategy to give the budget for students to join the student exchange. And this is also a breadth out proactive in the human resource development. And this is the number of the statistic of the international cooperation activity. And this also that is based on the relationship between the international, between Cần Thơ University to international partner. So we welcome the international delegate, and we sign MOU in the research and also conduct the research and student exchange. Also, we joined to do the international project, and then we publish the paper in the international journal. And also, one of the new strategy, we focus on the accreditation that help us have some study program to recognize the program in the international yes. And also based on the document review and interview that internationalization bring to the Cần Thơ University, especially teacher educator. First is for the Cần Thơ University, we enhance the educational quality, also attain the reputation, international recognition, and also that we attract more and more quality teacher educator. This is the opportunity also we can see on the statistic based on the international cooperation activity. Especially, I also want to mention about the teacher educator. The first opportunity is a study abroad. We found that study abroad bring a lot of the opportunity for teacher educator to upgrade their knowledge and skill and help them to have a good knowledge. And the second one is they have an opportunity to access the advanced programs. And also based on that, they apply the advanced method in learning, teaching and researching. Here, so we find the 4 roles of teacher educator in the context of internationalization. The first role is ambassador. Here we mentioned about the ambassador. It means that, for example, for me and Tim San, when we go to the Hiroshima to study, I bring the Vietnamese culture, and we bring our Vietnam to join to Hiroshima. And also after we back, we also gain some the culture to Cần Thơ. And also we love to do that. The second role is the educator. The teacher educator have a role important is that the knowledge. So educator mean here that we share the knowledge to the student. And the two roles we mentioned here is a researcher. Also, we join together with the international partner to do the research. And then we share the result. And the last one, I think this is a new but important. We think that it's the connector. Teacher educator also become a connector to be connected with the place we go to study. And we connect the study program, and we connect to bring the partners together, and we conduct the research, and we share the knowledge through the knowledge, and also share about the culture. And here we can see that it's a teacher educator have a 4 roles, and the role is a safe in the contribute to the development of the university. For the however, which competencies there is a need for this role. So we based on the interview, we also find that with the ambassador and connector, we need the intercultural skill. Here it means that we come to we will welcome more and more foreign students to come, and it means the ambassador and connector have a skill to work together, to have together with the foreign. And for the educator and researcher, we need the teacher educator need the innovative skill. It means a teacher educator need to update their knowledge, their skill day by day, and also they will help students and on their study. And you can see that we have a shared 4 roles of teacher educator is to become the shape of the logo of Cần Thơ University. And this is also the shape of the ray horn of Cần Thơ University. I just showed a picture. However, talking about the challenge, actually internationalization in Vietnam, especially in Cần Thơ University, also face some challenges. For the Cần Thơ University, we face the challenge first is the brain drain. This is also the common challenge to other university, I think. And the next one is the competition among the institution and the lack of a strategy and policy. Here I can say that actually in Vietnam and Cần Thơ University, we don't have any specific strategy for internationalization. However, internationalization is an interest in the international cooperation activity. The challenge for the teacher educator, I got the answer from the interviewee is the first is a foreign language. And the second is the mindset. I can say that because there are some people, they are afraid of the changes. They afraid of to change to join in the internationalized context. And the last one is a high pressure at work. Here you can see that each teacher educator have 4 roles, so that also causes them the high pressure at work. This is I would like to share about the internationalized teacher educator. The future direction is a strategy of Cần Thơ University. Here we focus into three main activity. The first is a cooperation in education and research. Here I can say that now Cần Thơ University have a strategy to invite foreign teacher to join, to have a part of teacher in the curriculum. Also research, we welcomed in the international partner, with cooperation in the research to conduct the research and to help to apply the result into the support for the communities. And the second one is that digital transformation. Actually, now you can see that the key term digital transformation is popular in Vietnam now. Not only in education, in every field, we talking about digital transformation. So for in the Cần Thơ University, we allows for the online study program. So it means that we can also go to class for study, but in the program we also have some credit study online. The study online can be conducted by a foreign teacher educator. So this is the new dimensions of the Cần Thơ University here. And the last one is we based on the international assessment and accreditation for study program. So we believe that this strategy can help Cần Thơ University can be recognized in the international partner network. And this is a reference and the interview data. Thank you for your attention. Domo arigato gozaimasu.
Thank you very much.
We welcome the session.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pauline and Ms. Lim, for your wonderful presentation. I think there is one question addressed to you in the chat box. From Ms. Grace, is there any opportunity for cooperation between your university and the College of Education in Nigeria?
Sure, we can say that. Sure, Cần Thơ University welcome all partner from over the world to be a network, to be a core partner of Cần Thơ University. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions to our Vietnamese speakers? Or you may come up with questions. Sorry.
Yeah. Can I?
Yes, please.
Actually, I'm writing, but talking is faster. Okay, thank you very much. To save time, I have a question. Do you think that teacher educator at Cần Thơ University successfully meet the professional development requirement?
Meet the
Teacher educator at Cần Thơ University successfully meet the professional development requirement or not, from your practical experience?
Thank you for your question. And in our country, we also have, I think that because we have one policy is every teacher educator, I mean teacher need the master. Of course, yes. We meet the professional development requirement because we have the training before. We also have a project to get the professional development requirement for the 4 first years. After you enroll, you join one training So after the actually it's like we joined the level 1. It's a professional development training, and then we pass and we continue to the second. And actually up to now we have a 3 level for the upgrade, the professional development.
Oh, wow. Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
Your question somehow related to the challenge of some kind of teacher educators in Qatar University. That means if you change their minds to think about the internationalization in the future, that they definitely need the professional development requirement. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. I see. It's a good lesson to learn from from Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah,
You're
thank
most
you.
welcome. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, presenters, and thank you, Sang. If the participants have will come up with the questions, then we can have your questions in the later session after presentations. Before we move into the next presentation, Professor Udumlak, is the time okay for you? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry that I cannot make it, until the end of the webinar, because my flight is at 5 something, and I'm afraid that I have to check in right now. And nice to meet you, everyone. And I hope that Maki Sensei will invite me again next time.
Yes, sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Much.
Please have a safe traveling.
Have a safe ride.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much, Professor. Well, thank you very much. Now, please move to the next presentation. We would like to invite Ms. Tendeyi from University of Johannesburg, Zimbabwe. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share with you experiences from Zimbabwe. Let me begin by sharing my screen. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, my name is Tendai Zinorieva. I am a PhD scholar at the University of Johannesburg, and I am affiliated to the Ali Mazrui Center for Higher Education Studies. And I'd like to begin by saying that the process of internationalization of education in Zimbabwe is generally one-sided, so to speak. We seem to be the providers of brain power. We have more of our students and teacher educators providing academic knowledge, research skills, and innovations to other institutions and other countries outside of it. This is the general internationalization of education, but my presentation today is going to be specific to teacher education because this is how I understood what we were supposed to be talking about today. And I will not go on to give the definitions because they've already been given before by internationalization of teacher education. So I'll begin by giving you a brief back Zimbabwe teacher education system. I see that there are a lot of differences with the universities that have presented before. In Zimbabwe, teacher education is provided strictly by teacher training colleges, and these are not universities. We call them teacher training colleges, And they are affiliated to the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development, which is the parent ministry of all teacher training colleges and all universities. In quality assurance, this is given by the Council of Higher Education. But the most interesting thing about this is we only have 3 teacher training colleges that are affiliated to the Council for Higher Education. So what this implies is that teacher education in Zimbabwe is not considered higher education. And those that are affiliated to the Higher Education Council are the colleges that are allowed to sort of to give degree qualifications. So in Zimbabwe, we have a total of 15 teacher training colleges that can take that one in as a teacher. Then we have 2 that are specifically related. That is the Defense College, which trains staff in the Army or staff in the Defense Ministry with education degrees. And then we also have the Zimbabwe Prison School, which trains members of the sort of like prison faculty in Zimbabwe. But the ones that offer general teacher training to the general populace, we have 15, and out of those 15, 11 offer primary school teacher training. And then we have 4 that offer high school or secondary school teacher training. Of these 15 colleges, only 3 are affiliated to institutions of higher learning base are the universities. So these ones are allowed to give degree status to their students. And in terms of the status of internationalization of teacher education in Zimbabwe, I have segmented the status into 4 key areas where we have government-to-government agreements. And Zimbabwe has had a very long history of internationalization of teacher education, beginning with the Cuban Science Teacher Education Program, which was done in the 90s. And this only managed to impact about 2,000 teachers. It was then stopped. And then we have also managed to have Namibian students coming in to be trained as high school teachers in 2 of our teacher training colleges, that is Belvedere and Mutare Teachers College. And over 1,000 Namibian students have been trained in those institutions. This was between the period of 2003 and 2006. So once the Namibian government felt that they had enough expertise in terms of teachers with the right qualifications, they then stopped this agreement with the Zimbabwean government. And then recently, the Rwandan government has also gone into partnership with the Zimbabwean government, and they are offering employment to Zimbabwean educators to go and sort of like revamp their education system. We also have non-government initiatives, and these initiatives are based on individuals that can apply on their own to be a part of those programs. And these include the Fulbright program for international primary and secondary teachers, which is given by the United States Embassy, where qualifying teachers after personal and individual application can then be selected to go to the United States on a sort of like a cultural exchange program. We also have the Teach for Zimbabwe program, which is a cultural exchange program with the US. Then we have some private schools that offer teacher training their own staff, providing them with global skills expected of teachers that can teach at international level. Then we have public-private partnerships, where government has gone into partnerships with some non-governmental organizations to improve the level of knowledge, skills, and qualification of teachers. Recently, because of COVID, we've had UNESCO coming in to train teachers on how to use technology for teaching and learning. In 2004, we also had the VV organization, which is a Flemish and Belgian organization that provided technology skills training to teacher educators, that is educators for pre-service teachers in the various colleges around Zimbabwe. And then we also have self-driven strategies where individuals are driven by their need to improve their own education outside of Zimbabwe. I see in this presentation one of our own who is at Hiroshima, Mr. Chomu Tafara. He is also in this presentation. This is a self-driven initiative. My studies at the University of Johannesburg are self-driven. I applied on my own because I felt the need to improve my skills and my education.
Hello, Mr. Ndai. Maybe the internet connection is not so good.
I think we can
Can't
wait.
hear me.
Now we can hear you. We couldn't hear you well. You have just mentioned self-driven strategies for Tafara-san for Hiroshima University, and you yourself is for Johannesburg, University of Johannesburg. We could hear to that point.
Okay, so I was saying that we also have some teacher educators that are in various institutions, driven by their own motivations, mainly to look for better opportunities in terms of the economic status. And then we also have teacher educators from the various colleges and universities that go on when they are on sabbatical. So this is the general status of nationalization in Zimbabwe. Mainly, like I said, it is more self-driven than government initiated. And the next slide speaks to how teacher educators cope with internationalization of teacher education. The environment in which the Zimbabwean state is operating in is very volatile, it's uncertain, complex, it's ambiguous. And you find that a lot of students are going out of the country to seek for better education opportunities. A lot of teachers are going into other countries, particularly to South Africa, seek for better education, for better employment, conditions and better salaries. However, while they are in those spaces, they find that the process of internationalization is very frustrating, especially if there is no government-to-government agreement, because they have gone into these countries on their own. It means they have to look out for themselves. They have to make applications for themselves. They have to look for visas for themselves. And this can be a really frustrating process. And then second educators and students studying abroad live in constant fear and in a constant state of uncertainty and anxiety, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. A particular government could just decide that they no longer want educators in Zimbabwe. So without these government-to-government agreements, the teacher educators and students across the world are left exposed to a lot of abuse, to a lot of, uncertainty of what tomorrow then brings. And then teacher educators also go out to seek opportunities to teach in other countries for themselves. I'd like to call this chasing the dollar, because we are coming from a very harsh economic background. So when they go into other countries, they find that opportunities are better. They find that the environment is better. The infrastructure for teaching is actually better than in our own country. And this is an advantage to the teacher educators that have had the opportunity to seek for greener pastures outside of our own country. Then those who go on exchange programs find value in relation to assessment, as well as exposure to different educational setups, providing a basis for comparison and improvement. So those that have had the opportunity to go on exchange program, for example, the Fulbright program, they come back to Zimbabwe with a different mindset, where they try to sort of utilize the knowledge that they have to better improve service, to better improve the skills to their learners, and also generally to education in Zimbabwe. And then another way of coping is that they, because internationalization offers exposure, it also encourages professional growth, which at the end of the day helps them to understand the different dynamics that constitute education globally. For example, parental involvement is a very key issue in the United States. Unlike in our country, where the teacher is given responsibility for a child whilst that child is in school, or to the colleges, you find that you enroll, you are responsible for your own education. But in other contexts, you find that parental involvement stretches right up to university. So that understanding is very important in developing educators that can become relevant to the international space. What dispositions, competencies, and roles are expected of an international educator? I have separated competencies and roles and included dispositions, because I feel that they are very important to coping with internationalization. So in terms of competencies, looking at teacher educators that have cross-cultural communication skills. I think I will also refer to this when I speak about how I believe internationalization should look like. It's surprising that now in this webinar, some of us can only speak one international language, which shouldn't be, how it should be. We should probably be having a situation where in this webinar, because it's being hosted by Hiroshima University, we use the language that Hiroshima uses in their country. So we need cross-cultural communication skills, particularly in terms of language, the ability to, cross-pollinate using a language of another country would be really, really interesting. And understanding the cultural dynamics of other countries would also help us to sort of give importance to the education that each and every country brings. We are also looking at educators that have transformational skills to change the trajectory of education. In Zimbabwe, so far I was speaking to my colleague when he introduced me to you guys for me to come and present, and I was saying, you know what? We are still lagging behind as a country, because we seem to be doing things the same over and over and over and over again. And yet, in the context in which we are operating, it's important that we become transformational, that we change the game of education. And how do we do that? We do that through networking and collaboration skills. We need educators that are able to network and identify relevant networks that will enable change, that will enable transformation. We also need to work together with entities, with other educators to find better opportunities for our educators and for our students. We are also looking, I was also thinking of divergent skills, the ability to think up, multiple ideas around how best to develop and to change the trajectory of teacher education internationally. COVID was a wake-up call for Zimbabwe particularly. I wrote an article on this. We were caught napping, we were sleeping because we were so used to being in the comfort zone. So when COVID came, we then realized we are way behind. While other countries were moving technologically, we were still trying to find our feet. For me, technological literacy is a very important aspect that we need as teacher educators. And my thesis or my research for PhD looks at integration of ICT into teaching and learning, which is a very key global skill, because very soon the world is turning global. The world is turning technological. And if we don't change as a country in terms of our education, we will continue to lag behind, and we might not catch this internationalization train because we will not have the right tools. Critical thinking skills are also very important. Knowledge creation through research, problem solving through innovation. And the dispositions that are necessary for teacher educators: curiosity, the need to understand other contexts, the need to know how other institutions are carrying out their education exercises. How is the curriculum of Hiroshima? How does it compare to ours? That curiosity is very necessary. Tolerance for other people, reflexivity, flexibility, and agility. I love this word, agility, the need to quickly respond to a situation that is, just volatile. And this is where we are right now. We don't know what tomorrow is going to be like. And as educators, we need to be agile. We need to quickly respond. And we also need to be persistent in the way we chase the dream to transform education. We need to continue to go on and on, to look for more opportunities, to look for more solutions to how we can better our education. What are the prospects or challenges and opportunities? For Zimbabwe, the main challenges to internationalization of teacher education is that internationalization in Zimbabwe is not policy driven, it is individually driven. And when you have something that is not backed by policy, it's shaky. You don't know what's going to happen to you as somebody who has gone to another country. So policies are a major challenge. And I believe that while we have, Zimbabwe has got an internationalization of higher education policy, but I strongly believe that an internationalization of teacher education policy is critical for the development of teacher education in Zimbabwe and for opportunities of internationalization. And then we are also in a context where African institutions are speaking about decolonization of education. And my question is, who do you want to end? And this is a major challenge because we are not yet sure of, can you still hear me? Okay.
Yes.
We are not yet sure of what to take and what to leave. And this is an important debate that must be had, that the concept of decolonization versus internationalization. Where do we draw the line? And then there are also few opportunities in cases where government is involved in internationalization. I hear that there is a government-to-government agreement between China and Zimbabwe, but I'm not very aware of how it operates or how it happens. So you find that sometimes those that are connected might actually get the opportunity and others may not even know. So there are very few opportunities. And then funding internationalization in Zimbabwe is a major challenge. Everybody knows that Zimbabwe is going through a very bad economic space, and we may fail to fund internationalization. We may fail to fund exchange programs. We may fail to even provide scholarships for teacher educators or potential teacher educators that may want to advance their education. The political positioning of Zimbabwe has also made it very difficult for Zimbabwe to merge key relations that inspire opportunities for internationalization of education. You find that for me,
thank you for the presentation, and because it's up the time is up, so could you please conclude your presentation, and thank you very much for your kind and understanding.
Okay, let me just conclude. I will share the rest of my slides and speak about what I believe internationalized teacher education should be in Zimbabwe. I believe that the first thing is to look at structured policy frameworks, followed by a global curriculum that is intercultural in its aspect, and then technology, networking, and collaboration, exchange programs, and then finally, collaborative research. There is very little research around teacher education in Zimbabwe. And I believe that collaborative research with other institutions could actually help in making internationalized teacher education a reality. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Tendai, for your inspiring presentation.
Any questions?
Yes, any questions? With Azam, I think, yes, please. Okay, applause. So thank you very much. If you come up with the questions later, please put it in the chat box, because we are a bit behind the schedule. So let's quickly move to the final presentation from Professor Naomi Watete from Murang'a University of Technology, Kenya. Please go ahead. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. From Kenya, it is 12:45 p.m. So it's afternoon. Kenya is in East Africa. I want to share my screen. That is my screen. I'm a lecturer at Murang'a University of Technology, which is just at the center of Kenya. So I'd like to welcome you to my presentation. I will not go into the introductions of the definitions, they have already been done. And because of time, allow me to go to the situation in our country, which is Kenya. So that is my name. I'm Naomi Watete Bacho from Murang'a University of Technology. So in the introduction, we have that higher education sector continues to undergo tremendous changes in order to provide skillful workforce for the dynamic labor market. So there has been a shift in focus from access to the quality of knowledge generated within a sector. So scholarly studies have been done. There's a study that was done in Eldoret, which is in Kenya. Kenya is a country which is in East Africa. And according to the studies, the results indicate that universities in Kenya, they have not been attractive to international students.
Dr. Naomi.
As their numbers,
Naomi, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry to cut in.
Yes.
This is Maki.
Yes.
Would you mind to make it full screen mode, presentation mode of your slides?
Okay.
I think you can do it from current slide, maybe.
There?
Yes,
like
yes. Thank you very much.
It is better. I'm sorry for that.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I was saying that the results from various studies indicate that universities in Kenya have not been attractive to international students as their numbers remain minuscule. In addition, universities had not put structures in place to utilize the few international staff and students to advance in internalization. There is also another study that was done on campus diversity, and it was found that universities which are private, if you look at that table, the first university is public. It is called Meru University. The second one is University of Nairobi. The other one is Kenyatta University. The last one is a private university. And in that university, we can see that the campus diversity is higher. It is 14.3%. So what I would like to say is that the private universities have embraced generalization as compared to the other or their public universities, as when we use campus diversity as one of the indicators for internationalization of education. Now, this is in general in the students, the teacher education in the universities, the number of students population, the population in education, and the percentage that comes from the other countries. So with the exception of USIU Africa, which is a private university, all other universities had a negligible ratio of less than 0.01. So how do teacher educators cope with internalization of education? So we have institutions of higher learning, especially the universities. Here in Kenya, we have universities providing teacher education. We also have diploma institutions who provide teacher education. But in Kenya, most of the teacher educators, they come from the universities. So institutions of higher learning, particularly universities, are finding ways to equip students with the necessary knowledge and skills for the increasingly multicultural job market. So recruitment of international students and staff is identified as one key aspect of enhancing cosmopolitan learning environment capable of producing graduates with global employable skills. So which competencies and laws are required of teacher educators at the internalization of education? One is reviewing and assessing the full range of campus resources for international exposure and their accessibility, particularly for students in teacher education programs. So it is to make sure that the universities or the institutions providing teacher education, they have enough resources for the international exposure. Number two is to provide training on international needs and students, options for both faculty and professional advisors. So to provide the needs that are the global needs on teacher education. Number 3, foster development of internationally oriented curriculum. So the curriculum should be international oriented. Here in Kenya, of late, we have introduced a new curriculum. We call it competency-based curriculum, CBC. And that curriculum was introduced to foster the development of internationally oriented curriculum, a curriculum that can be able to, we can be able even to share the students, and we can have internalization taking place. Then number 4, review policy and practice for the integration of study abroad in the curriculum, in education and the other fields. So what are the opportunities of internationalization of education? So in the last 2 decades, university education in Kenya has expanded. We started from 1 university during after our independence, that is in 1964. That university was with the name, the University of Nairobi, 1964. But by now, the country has over 30 public universities and over 34 private universities. I want you to note that the private universities are more than public universities. And we also, at the introduction, we also said that the private universities have embraced internationalization of education more than public universities. So in 2015, there is a private university called Catholic University of East Africa, and it introduced a program called Postgraduate Certificate in Education International course. This is a postgraduate course that is done after graduation for teacher educators. And it was introduced in partnership with the University of Nottingham. I'm proud of them. Thank you for that. And this course was very popular, and it has been popular because after this course, the students, they were able to get jobs. They were able to be employed in other countries, and they were able to learn teaching approaches in different countries. So that was part of what was done, what has been done in Kenya to increase to export more teachers to other countries, although it is minimal. And that is because of so many challenges that we have. I've listed 7 of them. And these challenges, they have made our internationalization process to be very slow. Actually, what we have in Kenya is we have students who goes to abroad for study, but it's very rare to have, we have students coming from other countries, but most of them, they come as exchange programs. We have that international students in Kenya, there are very few. And according to UNESCO, the number is 4,782. That is the number of students who are out. But the number of students who are in Kenya from outside the country. But those who go out for study, they are more than 30,000. For instance, we have like 4,000 students who are studying in America, and they even more. So that is the problem with the challenges that we have in Kenya. So challenges, one, there is inadequate funding for academic, administrative, and social activities. We lack funding. Higher education institutions, they require more funding from the budget, and from the budget we get the budget being cut because of other areas. So that leads to universities being funded given low funds. So the universities are not able to expand for academic, administration, and social activities. Number two, we have low participation rate. We have that investment in education have been neglected for very many years. And thus the quality of the output from education has been low. So that leads to low literacy levels combined with poverty levels, high poverty levels. Another one is inadequate infrastructure, which comes in after the inadequate funding that we have in education. Then we have human resource development. We have professors, we have doctors in Kenya, but they are not enough to provide the education, the education that is needed. We have several of our universities, the people are employed there, most of them, you find that most of them, they just have masters, they don't have even PhD. So we have that challenge. Then the language policy, just like those people who have spoken before me, that language, we should have more than one international language. So there is that challenge. Then we have quality and relevance. You know, quality is very important to attract students to our Kenyan universities. So if we don't have good quality, then they will not attract the students. So the universities must keep abreast with the changes that are taking place in order to remain globally competitive. Then we have technological issues, technology issues. They have been discussed previously by my previous speaker. The same case applies to our country. So what are the international cooperation and the internationalization of education? So internationalization and regionalization, those words, they are so big. They are processes that can synergize each other. One must support the other, but can also limit the success of the other depending on their focus. So in our Kenyan context, there was introduction of structural adjustment programs. And these programs left Kenya public universities seeking alternative means of survival in terms of research capacity building, personal development, and improvement of general infrastructure. Now, this structural adjustment program reduced the funds given to the public university. And it became a challenge. So in the internationalization realm, participation in the international activity during this time increased in Kenya. We had the North-South research collaborations, partnerships, university industry linkages, increase in presence of organization. We had mushrooming of private universities based on American and British models. And this has been happening even today. We have mushrooming of so many private universities, and those universities, they embrace the internalization of education. So what does internationalized education, teacher education look like? So the students are mobile. There should be mobility across the world. Then there is staff working in the universities from all over the world. So if, according to me, to measure this internationalization of education or teacher education, we look at the international staffs that are from other countries. We look at international students. We look at how many international teachers do we have. So it is mostly online for those learning. The distant learning is done online so that to minimize travel. So I want to thank you for your time. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Naomi, for your great presentation.
Thank you.
So we'd like to the audience to give any questions to our presenter. Yes, please, Ms. Chipo Namaka.
Okay, thank you so much. Are you able to get me?
Yes, we can hear you well.
Okay, this is Chipo from Zambia. I'm from National Science Center, an in-service teacher provider in the country. So I have two questions. The first one, the presenter talked about competency-based curriculum. So I'm asking, at which levels does Kenya offer the competency-based curriculum? From what level to what level? Of course, you were talking about students at university level, but I would love to know whether also children at early childhood education as well as primary levels are able to also using the competency-based curriculum. The second question is, at university level, what outputs are embedded in your competency-based curriculum in line with what students will be able to acquire in order for them to compete on the global market? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. Dr. Naomi, could you please answer to the questions of Ms. Chipo? Thank you very much.
I think you are muted.
Dr. Naomi, you are mute. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
All right, all right. Thank you for the questions. They are good questions. The CBC, competency-based curriculum, it is a new curriculum for across all levels of education, from primary level, secondary level, and tertiary levels. The curriculum that was there before, we had 4 years in the university, but now the curriculum we have now, it's 3 years in the university. We have increased the number of years in the secondary level. The secondary level, we have 2 levels in the university, in the secondary level. There is a junior level and a senior level, and then the student will go to university. Now, at the junior level, okay, let me just give the overview very fast. There are 2 years at the low level. We call it preparatory level. Then there are 6 years in primary school. After primary, there are 6 years in secondary. These 6 years in secondary school, they have been divided into 2, 3 years in junior, 3 years in senior. So before the student gets to the senior level, the senior level is whereby now the student can go to their field, the interest of their field. And that is where the student or the learner is able to identify their talents, and they go to the line of their talent. So by the time they have finished senior level and they go to university, they have narrowed down to a particular area, either in social studies, either in music, in engineering, like that. So this CBC, we have found it very appropriate because it is skill-based. So our graduates, we have the first cohort now, they are in the primary school, they have not completed, but the graduates of this, we are hoping the graduates of this CBC, they'll be very competitive in our global market because it is skill-based. It is not exam-oriented, it is skills-based. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Yes, you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have other questions, whether addressed to Dr. Naomi or I think other presenters also. Okay, because we will come to the general discussion with the audience. At first of all, could you please help to answer the question is, could you please mute? Thank you. We're sending the link in the chat box saying that we'd like to seek your feedback about our webinar. Could you please spend 1 minute or 2 minutes to answer that webinars, and then we can come to the general discussion. Thank you very much. Maki Sensei.
Yes.
We have questions in the chat box, so shall we come through all of them now?
Which question? I think yes. We can go with those questions, of course.
Yes. Thank you.
I think for Maki Sensei. And then one question is related to Maki Sensei. The first one is there are many opportunities, but the role of teacher educator as gatekeeper has such a limited role in internationalization in some countries. This question is from Tanzai. Then, sorry for my wrong pronunciation. So I think this question is related to Maki Sensei. It's mentioned in the chat box.
Yes. Let me. Yes. There are many opportunities, but role of teacher educator as gatekeeper has had a limiting role on internationalization in some countries. Gatekeeper. The gatekeeper in that context is about evaluate or assess to make sure that that student fulfill the requirement to be a good school teacher, in my understanding. So that in that sense, also, I think we can still, because to what extent that student is capable enough, have a sufficient experience to be a kind of internationalized school teacher. In that sense, I think same as the other roles. That is my response. So same as the other roles, but I don't know the intention of this question. Is she still there?
Yes, I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, yes. So we are tackling with your first question.
Yes. I'm sorry about the disconnection. We just had a power cut, so I had to look for an alternative.
I see.
But yeah, so it really wasn't a question as such, but it was a comment. Because what I have realized, I think I'm also taking it from my own experiences when I wanted to further my studies. It appeared as if there was a lot of discouragement from undertaking a PhD, no, don't do it. It's going to take you a long time. And yet this person that's speaking to me is an educator. They are supposed to be encouraging, but they are an educator and they're discouraging me. So I just felt that sometimes teacher educators may feel that there is too many doctors in the field, so we might not want any more. It's the feeling that I got. So instead of using the term gatekeeper, can't we look for a better term that does not then come with connotations of protectionism?
All right. Maybe it's maybe the wording as you like agility. Agility. Yes. I understand. Yeah. So that what we found in today's presentation, like there is some commonalities. For example, like in Thai case and Vietnam, the case of Vietnam, they use connector, but actually that is quite similar to the broker in Western text, which is connecting or facilitating the network between the teacher education institutions and the schools, so that of course we can dispatch our concept, which is more contextualized, I mean well fit with our study context, I mean our living context. Yes, thank you very much. It's quite insightful. Yes, thank you. So
What is the second question?
I think this question is directed both to Maki Sensei and Udomlak Sensei because it's related to Japanese and Thailand university cases. And the question is from Zambia. And what are the requirements for one to assess the opportunities in Japanese university and Thailand?
Yes, I think for the Thailand, I think Udomlak Sensei already responded in a chat box. And for Japan, I think so far, yeah, self-driven, self-funding is maybe the one strategy. But apart from that, I think if you are interested in maybe contact to JICA and the Embassy of Japan to find out some scholarship. JICA offers various kinds of scholarship, such as Abe Scholarship, ABE, Abe Scholarship, and also SDG Global Readers recently. And when you have access to the Japan Embassy, I think they offer our Ministry of Education, I mean, next scholarship for your further study.
Thank you very much. Do you have other questions in the chat?
Actually, I have one more questions noted, but this question is related to Udomlak Sensei. And is ethnicity has anything to do with internationalization of education, especially in Nigeria? So because Udomlak Sensei has provided her email address in the chat box, so we can directly contact to that professor by using the email. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. And the audience, do you have any other questions to our presenters today?
To all the concerned countries. I think Sophia-san put the latest question.
Yes, Sophia-san has questions. Which one entity is dominant between Ministry of Education and fund donors agencies in internationalization of education in your home country?
Very good question.
So any presenters can have the answer to this question.
For Japanese case, I think everyone knows like Ministry of Education have a kind of like a big influence on national universities, though we incorporated. And for those private university, actually 80% of our higher education institution is same as Kenya, I think. We have much, I mean, quite a large number of private higher education institutions in Japan, which is 80% of total. So, but those are kind of, we can classify like quite strong enough private universities are located in Tokyo or some, local big cities. They have enough capacity to run their own. But from the national university perspective, it's like kind of imperatives from the ministry. So we cannot say like which one is the most dominant, but it's depend on type of university. Private Local private, I think they cannot do it. I mean, because of that capacity, I think. But for those like Waseda, Keio, or these, I mean, the big university, they can run their own. And national universities are like some of us are super global university, so that it's kind of strongly controlled or required by the ministry. I don't know how I'm going to respond to the question. What about Zimbabwe? I think Zimbabwe also talked about this issue, I think. Miss Tendazi.
Yes,
she already gave the answer.
Yes, I already responded.
Okay, all right. Government. Okay. But I thought like there are like much intervention from the abroad.
Yes, we do have interventions from non-governmental organizations, but they are controlled by the government.
Ah, I see.
Yes, so government makes the final decision on how things should be done through the relevant ministries.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
What about Kenya, Dr. Naomi?今ミュートになってる。You are mute. Dr. Naomi. 今ね、ミュートになってる。You are mute. どうしたらいいかな。
Now you can hear me?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Yes. So in Kenya, the situation is it's the same, although private universities they have they take the lead in everything. We have a large number of our universities being private. So even the process of internationalization, it is mostly embraced by the private universities. Yes, just as you had mentioned.
I'm sorry, maybe I back to the MC.
Oh, thank you very much. I think, how about Vietnam?
Yes, maybe for this question, we can share some maybe information from Vietnam educations. Maybe before that, the entity dominant between military education and fundamental that may be more related to the activity that we have maybe the mission from the government or the military application for the university to cope with the activity that need the funding from the donor outside of country. But more now, more university or institution, they have automations themselves to work with the donor or agency to get the funding for their own activities. Yes, and now in Vietnam we work toward the new areas of automation in the institution and the government and the military application that attract more power to the university themselves for their own activity. Yes, that is the information from Vietnamese case.
Thank you very much. We have the questions follow-ups in the chat box.
It's not actually the question. It's kind of comments, positive comments.
All right, thank you very much. What is the name? My name is Ngan. I'm from Hiroshima University. Thank you very much. And the audience, do you have any other questions? All right.
Hello?
Maybe, yes? Precious. Ah, wow. I like the flowers. Please go ahead.
Yeah, you were talking about universities. Sorry,
Hello?
what's the question? Hello, are you getting me? Are
Yes,
you
we
getting
hear
me?
you. Yes, we hear you.
Do you have any questions to our
My
presenters?
name is Yeah, though I joined late, we had network problems. Yeah. I'm a secondary school teacher. I completed master's just recently, so it has been nice to share education presentation and exchange. So well done. We'll be learning from you, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you very much. Where are you from? Where are you?
I'm from Zambia.
Ah, Zambia. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Zambia. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Precious. Our presenters, I think the participants very would like to have your PPT file. So could you please share it in the chat box? We would very much appreciate that. Thank you very much. If there are no more questions or comments, so we'd like to ask Dr. Foster from University of Malawi for the closing remarks. Dr. Foster, are you there?
Yes, please, I'm here. Hi. How are you? Yeah, greetings in Vietnam, Zimbabwe, Japan, and Kenya. It's almost noon in Malawi, and I've followed all the presentations with interest, and it's quite interesting to learn from of your experiences. Just a few observations that I made, and I think just in closing, as Professor Maki also noted earlier, it appears we have many similarities in the way we look at internationalization and even the challenges that we are facing, but also the kind of competencies that we would expect from an internationalized teacher educator. Just to pick a few, for example, I think I could hear the challenge of resources coming out often in the presentations that most the represented countries are facing challenges in terms of financial resources, infrastructure, in order to advance internationalization. There was also a mention of language as an issue, that since the language is a form of currency in some countries, I think we still face challenges to communicate with foreigners. But also some commonalities in terms of competences. There was a mention of research, that an internationalized teacher educator should be a researcher, but also competent in the use of technology. But having observed those commonalities, I just wanted to challenge you with the following. You will notice that internationalization of education in itself, I think, thrives on assumption that education is a commodity that you can export and import. And now, if you look at the challenges that have been shared, maybe in terms of resources, what it means is that some countries may be at an advantage to attract more or to import more than they can export. I think there was a mention that most of the some of the presenters are now in Japan they moved from Vietnam to Japan. They moved from, so that kind of import and export of education system, I think is deeply rooted in that imbalance in terms of resource allocation. And so what this means for a researcher, in my view, is that instead of emphasizing the common understanding of what internationalization is, I think we should also focus on the problems of internationalization. So internationalization itself as a problem, not only the challenges that we're facing as we try to internationalize, but to what extent are we looking at internationalization as a problem? That is what I wanted to say. I hope looking forward, we should be able to reimagine internationalization. Apart from questioning or problematizing internationalization, I think another dimension is in the event that we are facing resource challenges, at what extent can we look at ICT as a facilitator of internationalization in the face of limited mobility, which is a key feature in internationalization. Those are my few observations, and we hope you join us again in the next webinars. And we look forward to seeing some of you. We would like to import Vietnamese education to Malawi. We have already exported a Malawian to Vietnam. But I think we continue this conversation, and I wish you all the best. Looking forward to meeting you again in the next webinars. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Foster, for your grand closing remarks. Before closing, shall we have a group photo? So audience, would you mind turning on your video for a while so that we can have a photo together? Thank you very much. Push. Okay. Okay. Hot dog. So 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you once again. Thank you very much, all presenters, for your wonderful presentation. Thank you, participants, for your time and interesting questions. We are sorry for behind the schedule a bit, but we hope that we have already very much enjoyed all the sessions. So we would like to close the webinar today. Thank you.